What's going on, guys? So I'm just doing a quick video in relation to a way of thinking that has been kind of portrayed to me for quite some time from a mixture of different people and different communities, where when people make inquiries that they even first start training, they mention that they don't want to lift weights or they don't want to do resistance training because of a worry of becoming too big in terms of having too much lean muscle tissue. Now, first thing I want to address is that this doesn't happen easily. To gain and build muscle is an extremely challenging and long process. So for the very vast majority of you, you could train with weights for quite some months, possibly even years, and have absolutely minimal muscle gain. A lot of this will completely depend on genetics, also the type and style of training you're doing and where your focus is at. So for people to turn around and say that I don't want to add more muscle to my frame, why don't you want to add more muscle to your frame? Because there are several studies that have been conducted. One showing that the more lean muscle tissue you have on your skeletal frame, the less chance of an abundance of heart attack risk you are. Secondly, it helps preserve joints in terms of your everyday to-day tasks, walking, moving, carrying things, lifting things. By having more skeletal muscle or lean tissue mass on your frame, that it takes a lot of strain off the joint as the muscle will be bearing the weight. And not only that, it tends to help regulate hormones better, and also things like insulin and also can come and play with this element without going into too much detail and too much depth. So for 1 second, guys, stop and think. Okay, I know there's a lot of contrary information and a lot of articles out there saying that, build huge arms in 6 weeks, or, making these outrageous claims of putting on a copious amount of muscle mass and it's easy. But I promise you it's not. You can train as hard as you like, you can train as much weights as you like, you can train in a particular manner and think that you're going to get absolutely massive and swole. It's just not going to happen. I'm really sorry to burst your bubble, but unless you are part of the top 0.0001% genetical material of the world, which I highly doubt you are, you're not going to be able to gain the kind of muscle mass you think is achievable. The people that you tend to see and feel that their structure or their body size is just way too much and way over the top and you'd never want to look like that, in all honesty, they probably were bigger muscular wise than you after lifting weights, and they've never lifted weights. This is what I mean when genetics plays a big part in determining how your body structure will be suitable and how it's going to respond to certain training modalities. So by adding a baseline of muscle or adding skeletal muscle to your frame, it will accelerate and increase your weight loss. And this is because with muscle, even if you're not using that particular muscle and it's just sat there on your frame, you're doing nothing, you're sat on the sofa or even lying in bed, that muscle needs blood, oxygen and energy. Fat does not. It doesn't need a blood supply, it doesn't need an oxygen supply, and it can just reside there without any kind of issue. Muscle needs continuously have an overturn in energy. So by adding more muscle to your frame, essentially you're making your body require more calories just by being statistically your new body mass. So this is why it's important to add muscle to your frame as a byproduct to trying to lose weight, as well as getting in good body composition, and also it will improve health markers. So it's very, very important to keep in mind that adding a bit of skeletal muscle to your frame is absolutely essential if you're looking for an overwhelming and fullness of health in terms of your body composition and your overall kind of health. Females, do not be alarmed. I can promise you faithfully that I've worked with many, many females lifting some very, very heavy weights, and not one of them has ever become boxy or manly looking. If anything, it has increased and improved their hourglass feminine physique, and they just have the most unreal body proportions and aesthetic that makes them look so feminine and so attractive, and they just lift heavy weights. They don't do cardio very often. They don't do these typical kind of body weight, high intensity training things. They do deadlifts, they do squats, they do overhead pressing, bench pressing, and so on. And they focus on good form, good technique with an element of progressive overload. So ladies, do not be scared of lifting weights. And let's be honest, most of you carry around a handbag with you all day, and it probably weighs in excess of 20 to 30 kilos, and you think you can't do resistance training. I beg to differ. So guys, just some food for thought, okay? Don't be concerned about putting on too much muscle mass. If you are concerned about doing that, I can guarantee you that you're the exact person that won't be able to do that. Add some muscle in your frame, chuck in some resistance training, figure out how lifting weights or adding resistance to your training can be enjoyable, not just doing it for the sake of it's more beneficial, but figuring out how you can do it where it really speaks to you as an individual to optimize your programming and get you the best results as you possibly can. Help burn weight, help increase your mobility, help increase your functionality, and improve your health markers. What you got to lose?